Welcome back, everyone. We have had 4 videos now, and this is, of course, number 5 about finding your next job. If you're looking for a job, you've come to the right channel. I've got a lot of years of experience in recruiting. I have personally looked for jobs, including fairly recently, and I'm here to offer you help. If you use this 5-step approach, it's going to definitely increase your chances of getting a job. So in the last video, we focused on interviewing, and I mean sample questions and answers, and things to do or not do to try to get you ready for the interview. Now, once you line up some interviews, don't be discouraged if you don't get the very first one that you do once you start using these techniques and tools. It's going to take time, and even when I got my last job, it took over a month to find out, and it was really hard waiting, and I thought I hadn't gotten the job. So please don't give up. Make sure that you are going on with the next job, applying, using all the techniques we've talked about. If you haven't seen the other 4 videos, this is, hugely important that you watch them so that you know how to have a resume that gets through the filters and a cover letter that gets you the interview, and once you have the interview, succeeding in that. So keep in mind, interviews are just one step on the pathway to employment, but they're the most important step. But if you succeed and you do get an offer, that's the payoff, that's the reward. For people in theater, all those rehearsals and practices, which could be compared to interviews, are what they do to get to the performance, which is like the job. So sometimes it takes a lot of performance practice before you get to be on stage. Now, when you do go for the interview, don't forget to dress according to the environment. You don't have to wear a suit and tie all the time. In fact, I don't recommend it in most cases. But it depends on the environment. If it's a very professional environment, well, yes, then you should. So dress according to the environment. Now, I will say, if you're interviewing for a warehouse, don't dress like, and you're going to be in the office in a professional capacity. Keep that in mind and not the warehouse dress code. Also, never start an interview, and these are just some other tips that I want to throw in. Never start by saying you want the job, because you haven't heard enough about the job yet, and it makes it seem like you're saying something you don't know yet. So wait till you hear about the job, and maybe at the end of the interview, that's where you should, maybe say on the last, I hope you will continue to consider me. I would like to take this job if offered. Make it clear that you want the job. And in fact, some people say the last question you should ask, is there anything I haven't asked yet that would preclude you from wanting to offer me the job? In other words, there's something I'm not thinking of that I can answer for you still, to make it clear that I am the perfect person for this job. So ask those kind of questions when you're closing an interview. And one other thing is, when you're in an interview, use a sort of hook line, and what we mean by that is something different and unique about you. Put that out there, because they may be interviewing 10, 12 people or more in a matter of days, and so to make yourself stand out, I'm not talking about lying, I'm saying take something that's real from your personality, your life, your experience, and make sure that you give them that. So something different and unique about you that'll help remember you. And another thing to keep in mind is, we've mainly focused on the first interview and the phone call, but sometimes there's a second or even third interview in a process. So ask, what's the next step in the process? It's another question, if you haven't already, when you're in interviews, always ask that question. What's the next step in the process? I wouldn't ask it first, but somewhere in the middle or towards the end of your questions for them. And then if there is going to be a second or third interview, and they've told you what they expect, and if not, ask them, what do you expect from this candidate who gets this job for the first 60 days, 90 days, 6 months? Pick a time frame that you think would be relevant. I would go with 90 days, to be honest, and start there. You got to start somewhere. So the first 60 days or 90 days, somewhere in there is what I would suggest. And you go and talk to them about that and ask, what do they want of this person? Then you can make a plan with 30 days or 60 days or 90 days or just two of those. It doesn't have to be all three. And say, when in the second interview, you can present that plan and say, from what you told me in the last interview, this is some thoughts I had on possible steps in the next 60 to 90 days. Now, don't be too pushy about it because that might not be what they want you to do. But you have to show them that you're thinking about it and how serious you are about that job. Now, let's move on to an actual offer. So you did all that. It went really well, hopefully, and keep practicing if they don't so that you get better. Then you get an offer. So what should you do when you get an offer? Well, first of all, listen and hear what they're saying to you. I generally give people verbal offers first, and then we talk about it, see if they have any questions. Please do ask questions if you have them. Make sure you understand, because keep in mind the salary is just one part of an offer. The benefits, maybe they're mentioning tuition assistance, maybe they mention other things, conferences, cell phone reimbursement, parking and mileage reimbursement, all those things. You might have questions about some of that. But listen closely, jot down notes if you can really quickly as you're talking. A lot of times, like I said, I do this on the phone to start with. And then after we have a phone call, if they verbally accept, I follow up with the written offer by email usually. So one thing that sometimes happens is the person wants to negotiate a salary. So let's say there's a range of 50 to 54,000 or 50 to 55,000, and they offer you 53. Well, you can certainly ask for more because it's still within the range. I tend to not want to go past the range unless you have a lot of experience, and then they may choose to do that. Sometimes they have flexibility, sometimes they don't, to go above the range if you have the experience to match it. So let's say they required 5 years, you have 10 years. There's justification there for you to have more than the amount they're offering. They generally are not going to start at the top of the range if they're smart, because then they don't have room to negotiate possibly. If they start in the middle, they still have room. So yes, you can negotiate. Do it, tactfully and wisely. You certainly, if the range was stated to be up to 55, I wouldn't ask for 60. That's a little too pushy, I think. But yes, you can. And you can also ask for time to think about it. You don't have to decide right that day or right that phone call. You can even talk to a partner spouse. I really need to discuss this with my partner spouse. And can I get back with you? Generally in the offer letter, it will say you have 3 to 5 days to respond. Now, of course, they'd much rather you do that sooner so we can get the process moving. We do background checks. Some companies do drug screening. All that takes time. So most people, if they're still working, are giving some sort of notice. So in that notice time, you hope to get done the background checks and other things. But yeah, you can ask for time to think about it. You may come up with additional questions. They can still send you the offer letter in writing, but they also appreciate if you're willing and want to make a decision right then and there. There's no reason you can't. If you're sure this is the perfect offer and you don't have any other questions, they've answered maybe any that you did have, then you're willing to accept and let them know. Or you can say, I'm going to tentatively accept, and I still want to talk to my spouse, or I need to compare. Like when I got my last job offer, and I was so blessed because I used these techniques that I've described in these first 5 videos, and this channel is going to go on beyond the first 5 videos. This is just a start. This is the main 5 steps, but there's so much to talk about in the job process. But what I did is use these techniques and really buckled down, took the time and the effort to customize those resumes, customize those cover letters, make sure I knew about the company and did research on the company somewhat. Some of them I already knew some about, but make sure I felt pretty comfortable so that I could ask some informed questions, and then see what happens after I do my best to shine in that interview. And that's what these videos are intended to do, is help you that, and help you to feel more comfortable, I hope, in the interview process, knowing that they want you to succeed. They want people to feel comfortable if they're good HR people or good recruiting people, which sometimes is the same thing. So yeah, make sure that you have those steps in place. But what happened with me was, in the end, in 2 weeks, I got a total of 5 job offers. So 2 earlier on, one for a part-time job, which was just going to be temporary while I was looking for the full-time job, and one that was full-time, but not quite in the area I wanted it. But I did start that because I didn't know I was going to get another job offer anytime soon. But within a month or less, I got 3 additional job offers using these techniques. It works when you use it. And again, I give credit to Passport to Employment that helped me, but that's in the Indianapolis area. And if you're in the Indianapolis area, you should check them out. They're on the north side. But if you're not, that's why I want to pass this information on to others not in this area, especially. So, using those techniques, I got those 3 additional job offers. One was I just didn't have a good feeling about it, and I had some red flags, or they did. So I turned it down because I had gotten another one already. And I did end up accepting that job, and then 2 days later I got the 3rd job offer. I wasn't expecting it because it had been a month. That's the one that I'm at now. And they had taken a little longer than certainly I would have liked. And so then I had to decide, even though I already accepted that, and I'm not a person who's ever accepted an offer and then turned it down. But I had to take those 2 offers, and I asked for time for a weekend for the last offer, and compare them and contrast them and list the pros and cons. And if you have more than one offer, you should do this as well. And then what I did is make a decision because I had to go with what I felt was best for me. In the end, I did turn down the offer I had already accepted. And you know what? That's okay. They didn't like it, of course. They were very disappointed. But I'm sure they had other candidates. For me, again, you have to do the right thing, what's right for you, I mean. And sometimes it does disappoint someone else. But in the end, here I am 6.5 years later at the same job. I'm still glad to be here. And I'm really happy with the decision I made. It doesn't mean every day is perfect. It doesn't mean there aren't hard times. There are hard times in every job, and we have to realize that. But I know that I made the right decision, and in the end, that's what I want for you all, to get job offers, or at least one, and to accept the job that you want. And I hope that these first 5 videos on my channel have helped. Please don't forget to like. It's a new channel. So I need your support to grow this channel, and subscribe. I need the subscribers to grow the channel as well. And I hope to see you on the next video. Take care, everyone. Goodbye.